Not great, was it? Bournemouth 0, Crystal Palace 2. We were all really looking forward to this one, and it didn't pan out how we did. An absolute worldie of a free kick from Milivojevic, and then Jordan Ayew. It was like a knife through butter, just side footing to make it 2-0. Bournemouth were fairly toothless, and we're online for the next 45 minutes stroke hour or so. You're very welcome to get involved and have a chat. Haven't heard what Eddie's got to say, but this is literally just after full time. We've got people lined up as well. But if you want to take part, as you can see down there, just go to afcbpodcast.com/take part. And we'll get you on throughout the show. We'll kind of bring some people in, take some people out, but you're very welcome to have your say. It's kind of like the fan cams that we do outside the ground, but obviously we're doing it in a very different style. And the first person I'm going to bring in today is Tony, Mr. Tiggs. Feelings. How are you feeling?
Bit numb, really. I've been looking forward to that all day, and that's not the performance I expected. Maybe I was a bit unfair on Crystal Palace. I thought they were really, really good, but we weren't, and we were pretty toothless, Sam. The only positive I can take at the moment is I really like the new shirt.
Is that it? Yeah, that's all we've got, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it was nice to see Brooks back, and he showed that he did have some wizardry about him, which was great. Obviously, he got injured. I didn't really think our wing play was fantastic, and we kept trying to go down the middle of Palace, but Palace was so strong in the middle. I don't know. We needed a plan B, didn't we, today?
Seemed like a training drill at times. What do you think of the lineup, though? It's pretty much as we predicted on the show, barring Billing, who was injured. We thought it might have been some kind of technical wizardry from Eddie Howe, who decides to omit him, but he was injured, and then it was Lewis Cook who slotted in. But when I saw the team, I thought that's not too bad.
No, I thought it was really strong. The thing is we kind of lack, and I know we've got Lerma, but I did feel that throughout the game we lacked a bit of physicality to compete with them. They were so strong and so fast.
Yeah.
Now, is that because we don't have players who can do that, or as many players who can do that, or is that because we weren't as fit as them?
Well, we'll ask a few people because there's people lined up here, including Thomas, Reese, Mr. Myers, hello mate, Paul Kenwood, Andrew and Adi. We'll get you all involved. We can only have 6 on screen at any given time. Craig Beasley's just joined as well. We've got Io and Cherry Andy. We've got 45 minutes. We will get everyone involved, okay? We might be taking some people out, bringing them in. First person we're bringing those is Thomas Godfrey. Have you calmed down yet?
No. I'm controlling my emotions relatively well for me. But that was awful. There's just no words. I was actually left speechless for a good minute at full time because at times that felt like we were snug in mid-table, playing for nothing, looking maybe to get between 8th and 11th place. And I think some of those players haven't looked at the league table in 2 months and they've forgotten that we're in 18th and we're about to go down. So yeah. I don't know. They need obviously a rocket up somewhere to kick them back into gear and tell them actually, get in gear, lads, because this is a real battle now. It's a 9-game shootout, and if we keep playing like that, then we deserve to be a championship team next season.
Well, there's lots of people saying we were poor. Emma said, yeah, we were shit. Ollie said 11 millionaires that don't want it enough. Matthew, Lerma was dreadful today. Also, James McCaffrey saying roll on match of the day. Yeah, good one. Debbie Humphreys doesn't even know what to say. Flynn, we need help. Chris, shocking build-up for a Deadwood performance. Same old Bournemouth, been like this all season. Neil, gutless. I would say who stood out for you today, Thomas, but not many players did. But we had a good spell for the first 5 minutes, didn't we? And we had a lot of the ball without really doing anything. But Crystal Palace were very economical with their play, I thought, and they seemingly did more with less.
Yeah, absolutely. If football was a results game based on possession, then we'd win most games, to be honest. But thankfully, it's about, thankfully for other teams, it seems against us, it's about who can get the ball in the net the most times. I think the first 10 minutes we looked on top, and it was after a very soft free kick, I think, on Zaha, and Milivojevic puts one in the top corner. Almost a world-class save from Ramsdale. And I think he should probably lead the charts for almost making the most world-class saves. That one against Chelsea, where he tipped it onto the post and it bounced in very cruelly.
Yeah.
So I think that was almost a brilliant save. But I think after that, really, they just looked deflated. And 10 minutes later, they score again. It's just more deflation. And they never really picked up from there. And I think the die was cast after 25 minutes. And nothing really went right. Nothing really went our way after that.
So, Reese, we're going to bring you in now, mate.
You all right?
How are you?
I'm disappointed. This is not the Bournemouth we know and love. Like, I look at the 2017-18 season. We always came back. We've only come back from behind from last season, from the Chelsea game. Like last year, yeah, a little bit, but I think it's because of some player departures. Like, in my opinion, if we actually get our heads into the Premier League and think where we are, I think either we can get 9 points. Like, people are calling me deluded. Everyone's writing us off. I think we have the squad. We have the players. David Brooks was the #1 star for us this game. Like, he's the one who makes the fans excited. Like, he made me excited. Every time he had the ball, he always created something. That's what we're missing. Like, Fraser, what he did that's so selfish what he did. But in my opinion, Eddie should have done a 4-3-3 formation. You should have put King on the left, Wilson on the right, and Wilson up top. And I think he should have benched, because near the end when Brooks got subbed off, he should have been on the bench because he was feeling that fatigue because he hasn't had match minutes. Like,
you could argue that a few players should have maybe did, but I mean, Harry Wilson seemed very ineffective that first half, didn't he?
If we kept him on, that free kick near the end.
Oh yeah, yeah. Typical.
That was so upset. The thing is, people are writing us off and calling me deluded. Like, I'm a positive person. I look at our club. I look up our history. Eddie minus 17 points, foot of League 2. We're about to get extinguished out of the Football League. Why? Who says we can't stay up? Like, people, Tottenham, Man United, all those wins we've got over them. Why can't we do that? Like. Yeah. We have the ability. We have the squad. I sound a bit deluded here, but we have some world-class players. We have, like, last season. Do you remember when we were doing so good last season? When we beat Fulham, we had Manchester United. People were thinking we're going to go into Europe. But ever since that, that's changed us, really. Like, ever since Benacer left, Lys Mousset, Tyrone Mings, those key crucial players. Like,
it's almost like we've been settling in believing our own hype, and this season's been our ultimate downfall. I mean, I know we've had injuries.
Eddie's the Messiah, but in my opinion, Solanke, God, I got so much words for that. 20 million.
I think you may as well put Solanke. You might as well put Solanke in the crowd and call him the world's highest paid steward, because he is literally that ineffective. He's just so ineffective.
Literally, like, have you heard of this striker called Ollie Watkins in the Championship?
Yeah, decent.
He, in my opinion, he would be a good signing for us. Like, but the thing is, I'm quite positive mind thinking. Like, I think I don't see 3 points against Wolves. I only see a point. And Newcastle, I'm trying to feel positive. I'm trying to see positives. Like, I'm trying to see positives and everything. But it's difficult.
Yeah, it is, mate. Well, we appreciate you, coming on to chat, Reece. We're going to bring some other people during the show. We've got Kirk, Craig, AD, Paul. We can see you there. Let's go for Kirk next. Cheers, Reece.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. How are you feeling after that?
Well, that dampened the excitement of the day, didn't it?
It did. Oh, my goodness me. Yeah, it really did. We were all well up for it, weren't we? Videos being played, motivational videos being played before kickoff and all sorts. And, it's like the sort of team were watching an episode of Last of the Summer Wine before the game, because they were just absolutely abject, I thought. And even the players that you look to turn to for a bit of aggression, like Jefferson Lerma, I thought was poor.
Yeah, so I think the squad lineup was pretty much there, minus probably one player would have changed. Smith and Jack Stacey, I'm happy with either one, really. But left side, I would have preferred Enrico in there. I just prefer a natural left footer. I think Smith or Stacey will always come in on the inside. And then there were so many similarities with what we've done this season that's got us in this position that we are. And automatically, after about 4 minutes, we dropped into that 5 across the middle. Josh King, for me, I know he's played left side on occasions for us when we're trying to hold on to a lead, but he's not a left-sided player. He doesn't like playing there, and he's very ineffective, and I prefer him down the middle. Callum Wilson isolated, no one within 20 yards of him for the first 20 minutes. Very slow. Yeah, it reminded me of the Arsenal game, actually, where we had Lewis Cook playing wide. And it was one of those before the first goal went in, when I thought, we're going to go 2-0 down here before Eddie changes anything. You know, and if you look at the first goal, Josh King gives the ball away, looked very uncomfortable on the left-hand side, led to their free kick. It was top bins, but Ramsdale got a good hand on it for me. He could have kept that out. And then, yeah, the second goal, for me, Smith, just because he's not naturally left-sided, got caught in the situation he did, left loads of gap for AU to score. So, and then you knew they were going to come out 4-4-2, but it's almost too late.
Yeah, Tony, we've seen, you know, I mean, the writing was on the wall in that first Amazon game against Crystal Palace when we saw the way they played against us. They went down to 10 men in that, and the way that they were organised, it was like Hodgson ball, and you know, we saw elements of that in the World Cup for England, or you know, whatever tournament it was. Like the way he played was, you know, very rigid and not exactly the world's most exciting stuff.
But it doesn't have to be, does it? It doesn't have to be the most exciting stuff for them, because the physicality and the skill of their players means they can switch it on and then they can switch it back off again and just drop back into that shape. And we just couldn't do that. We couldn't get any shape. We couldn't get shape in attack, and we couldn't get shape in defence. It was frustrating. And I suppose the thing that annoyed me the most is that we tried to go down their middle all the time, and their middle was so solid. And we couldn't get the ball out to the wings because neither wingers, I mean, King, we've just talked about, maybe not a winger. And then Harry Wilson wasn't really playing as a winger. He wasn't getting the ball. He wasn't running with it. And the overlap wasn't working either. So, I don't know what the answer was to unlock it. David Brooks looked like the other thing.
One of our biggest downfalls this year is we lost a bit of our identity. We used to be fast out the blocks in previous seasons. We used to attack teams early doors. And I think a lot this season, before the season was frozen, and obviously today, is we were happy for them to have the ball. And we're at home. And although we haven't, the two concerns I had with how this was going to play out was that I think home advantage is going to be lost in this new layout, unless you're Manchester City or Liverpool, because I think we got our team over the line a few times this season. Aston Villa, Brighton, we were almost the 12th man. So that was one of my concerns. The other concern was playing Palace. If you go 1-0 down, the task was going to be very hard because they're so drilled, they're so compact, and you know they were going to be hard to break down. But we almost let them have the ball after about 4 minutes, and they dominated play, and we just sat in a middle five across the middle. Very ineffective.
What I really don't like about this middle five is that packing the midfield is not the key to unlocking the defence, and I don't understand how that philosophy appears to have made it into a Premier League team. And if anything, it just packs all of our midfielders right into the centre of the field. And we, as you said, Kirk, a few times, we tried to go straight through the middle. Two very experienced central defenders in Scott Dan and Gary Cahill. They were never going to let anything slip through. And then their full-backs, when they were able to overlap, it was their second goal felt like something we should have scored, to be honest. And so once they started overlapping, they got so rigid, got so set up, and we just weren't able to break them down. If we could have played till Monday, we wouldn't have broken them down. We would have
I think that's right. Well, Thomas, thanks very much. What we're going to do is we're going to bring some other people in. So appreciate your thoughts today, because I'm getting this sort of notification saying the studio can only hold a certain amount of people. So there's people who are trying to get in. So Thomas, thank you very much, mate.
Good to speak to you.
Cheers.
Hi, Thomas.
And what we'll do, Tony, we'll put you on pause for a bit if that's all right, and then we'll bring you back in shortly. Kurt will keep you on for a while. People who've been hanging around for a while include Paul Kenwood.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, disappointed.
Hi,
Bit
Paul.
upset, bit sad that I couldn't be there today to cheer them on, because I felt like I was pretty useless, really, sat at home watching on the telly.
Mate. Also, we're going to bring in this man here. Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, could be much better.
Could be much better. We're also going to go 6 ways with this. So we're going to go 6 ways. We're going to bring in AD Brown as well. AD's been sat there patiently. We can see Sean, Simon, and Craig as well. We know you're there, so we're going to bring you in ASAP. In fact, Craig, we'll bring you in now if I can. Just trying to work out how on earth to do it without messing things up. How are you feeling, Craig?
Hello, Sam. Frustrated. Firstly, it was painful to watch with an empty stadium. You wanted to be there. I think the atmosphere at Dean Court would have been a bit of a 12th man, really. But
did you find, Louis, when you were watching, did you think that the sound crowd was quite muted for the first half? And it was almost like they upped it in the second. And for me, like, psychologically, it felt as though we weren't getting behind the team, even though there was no noise at Dean Court anyway.
Yeah, I didn't watch it with sound on in the first half. I was just testing it out.
Yeah.
But not really sure about that.
No. Did anyone stand out for you today, or is that a stupid question for me to ask?
I guess Brooks, if anyone, really. But most people, I've seen much better days.
Yeah.
I would say Brooks as well.
Paul Brooks was that sort of catalyst. Even though it went out of play, he sort of did that pirouette, didn't he? And he cut it back for the goal that wasn't a goal. I think Adam Smith put it in the end. But when I saw pieces like that, I was actually getting quite excited, and especially it came so early after our good spell of possession. I was thinking, we'll be all right here, but seemingly we just dropped off, and I don't know if it's something to do with like psychology or what, but what can you put it down to why we would just lack that potency on the ball? Because I swear that every pass that Jefferson Lerma was making was backwards.
Yeah, we didn't seem to have any sort of forward momentum at all. Every time we had the ball, we ended up going sideways or backwards. There were very few forward passes. I thought Dan Juma was good when he came on. He was very much like Brooks. He had a good touch on him. He looked like he was creative, going to actually make something happen, run at the defenders. But that's because we were using the wings at that point. In the first half, we struggled to use the wings at all. And I don't know what King was doing out on the left wing. It was really not the right place for him to be. I think he wanted to be up front. Actually, he wanted to be at Old Trafford, I think is where he wanted to be. He just didn't look like he was trying at all for us. And as soon as he got a tackle on his ankle, which did look nasty, he was like, that's it, I'm off. It didn't even want to try and get up and walk on it. He didn't even check to see if he was okay. But I think, King, I think he's probably on his way, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. So, Louis, marks out of 10 for that.
Do I have to?
Who's the player that stood out the best? I mean, I thought, Brooks, did all right for the time that he was on, but he was obviously flagging at the end. He went down with cramp. I mean, let's put it another way. Who wouldn't you be starting in the next match against Wolves on Wednesday?
I'm just thinking who I want to start.
Yeah. It's very difficult. AD Brown.
Hello.
Did you enjoy it?
No.
God, you didn't. What an awful advert. And it's probably the highest rated Premier League showing of all time. And yet we put in a performance like that. But, you could say on Crystal Palace's part, they were extremely well organised. And you just looked at how we lined up against them. And you just thought, it's like playing against a brick wall. There's going to be no way through this. And we had a brief chance where Brooks got on the ball, played it between the lines. And then, Callum Wilson was nearly on goal in the first half. But other than that, there just didn't seem to be anything. And what was it, first half, no shots registered at all?
It's just flat all round, really. I mean, we've played against big, strong teams, etc. in the past, but the thing that's always kind of helped us out has always been our pace and our ability to pass our way through quite stubborn defences. There just wasn't any fight. There wasn't any urgency in anything. We've been, 3 months now without football. Wasn't really missing it to start off with, and then as we kind of got closer to the old Project Restart, and things getting going again, I felt really up for tonight, and I think Paul made a really good comment earlier as well. There's a couple of players, Fraser included, who've probably got one eye out of the door. You've played football with me for long enough to know what my views on giving up early are, but I think we've checked out. There's people in there who are looking to then move on with, and I think what worries me now is what if we do go down? What do we? Yeah, I know you didn't enjoy it either, did you? Well, if we do go down, what are we going to be left with next season? Now, it's quite frightening, really. 5 years in the Premier League, and we're not really going to have anything to show for it.
Well, that's it. And well, AD, thanks for your thoughts. Louis, what we're going to do, we're going to take you out for a second, and we're going to bring some other people in, if that's okay, because there are people who are here waiting. Thanks very much for your input today. And here's a familiar face. Where is he? There he is. Hello, buddy. How are you?
Hello, mate. Hi, Sammy. Hi, guys. How are you all?
Hello.
Yeah, very well. You're in New Zealand, to fill it in. Obviously, you are the founder of Back of the Net 2016. You're doing podcasts together. Obviously, you live in New Zealand, so that means you're waking up at stupid o'clock in the morning. So what was it, 5 a.m. for you, 6 a.m.?
No. Well, we've got 2 kids, Sam, so it's always a 5 a.m. start, sadly. But it was a 6:45 a.m. kickoff for us here, so that was okay. The downside when you have a performance and a defeat like that is, whereas you guys get to go to bed soon, I get all day to think about it. It's 9:05 in the morning. I've got all
I'm not
day
sleeping.
now.
Don't worry, I'm not sleeping. I'm gonna have 8, 9 long hours to reflect on it in the dark.
In the dark. So must have been a hard watch, Sean.
Well, obviously I have to watch all the games like this. So I think sometimes for you guys that get to go to the stadium, probably games like that, at least you've got a bit of energy in the crowd, or there might have been a shared joke with the person next to you. I can tell you that I've seen lots of performances like we had today. This was nothing new, other than you didn't have the crowd cheering, at the start and from the 70th minute to trying to give them a kick. Just exactly same old, right? Like, just no. It's like I think people have said before, the identity of the side. I don't know what we are, and I don't know what we're trying to do. I don't know how we're trying to attack. It's not like we knew they were going to sit deep, so we knew we were probably going to have lots of possession in that final third. But then you only play Callum up front on his own, so you've got one striker in the box with 5 defenders. So you're not going to break down them that way. And then you go, well, okay, maybe we've got so many great midfielders that it's going to be quick counter attack, or it's going to be on the break. But no, and it was just. We've had the conversation before. It's back to. Substitute Lewis Cook and Lerma for Sermon and Arter when we went through that period where all they did was just get it and give it to the fullbacks. And it's like, well, how far have we come, really?
Number of players I thought were disappointing. And Craig, we'll come to you. Like Adam Smith, It seemed to be that he is such a momentum breaker. When we look to attack, we're thinking, go on, push forward. And then all of a sudden he stops. And he's just kind of, weighing up what to do. And by that time, Crystal Palace have got all their players back. So any momentum that we've got is lost. And when Palace players are back, they form their 2 rows of 4 and we got no chance. And, they even actually for this match, they packed out their midfield. So it was even harder. He was one of many players that didn't have good games. Will there be any people that you're thinking, right, maybe you're going to be sat on the bench at Wolves?
I think Smith is, he was at fault for that second goal. Literally, he lost AE completely, and by the time he realised he was there, he completely lost him a second time. And it was an easy. I know Match of the Day said that it was quite a difficult goal to get, but we made it easy for them. I would say. I thought Lerma had a good game. I was disappointed with Lewis Cook. I was disappointed with Lewis Cook. Although saying that, I think it was probably the wrong type of game for him. I would have rather had Gosling there. Somebody a little bit stronger. I think Harry Wilson will be dropped. Dan Juma did enough to certainly start Wolves. And I agree with the guys. I think King was off the pace and disappointing. And I think he does have one eye on that move to Old Trafford. It's whether or not, Man United will want him after that sort of performance.
Well, AD, what I'm going to do, mate, is I'm going to take you out temporarily because Dan Hall is in here after your Talk Sports stint. You've got a late night, AD, so you probably appreciate the.
Yeah, I'll shoot on. You
All right,
sort yourself out with some other people. Cheers for having me on,
yeah,
Sam.
no worries. Cheers, AD. Thanks very much. And also, we've got Simon here as well. We'll speak to you shortly, Simon. But Dan Hall, Talk Sport this morning at 10 a.m. with Max Rushton. Heard you. You were so positive. You were thinking that we could get a result. But, you know, from about 10 minutes in, we were, well, the same old Bournemouth that we're used to seeing, wasn't it?
That soon changed, didn't it? My positivity after, what was it, 23 minutes, 2-0 down?
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't good. But as soon as Miller, I don't know how you say his name, but as soon as he stepped up for that free kick, I thought this is going in. I just knew he was going to score. We're not very good with dealing with set pieces that close. We had something like 10 corners today. We just couldn't get a shot. It's very poor.
Yeah, Simon, you weren't loving that, were you?
No. However, I would say that there was a consistent thing happening very early in the game that if I was in the stadium very early, I'd have been shouting about it. And that was down our right-hand side, which pretty much both their goals came from. We weren't solid. There's many times when I've shouted from the family stand on that flank when Harry Wilson doesn't track back and the problems that can cause. And Palace really did take advantage of that. That's not Jack Stacey's fault. I've often felt that there's not enough tracking back from the midfield positions where there needs to be. I used to play midfield back in the day when I had hair. And that was one of the biggest things you had to do was track back. And that's my view. Outside of everything else, I felt that was a very weak part very early in the game.
Yeah. Someone texted me saying Alan Carr's epic game show is on the other side, and I was starting to think, well, I'll be quite happy to have Alan Carr on our side because we were so shocking on the ball. You know, should we be persisting with Harry Wilson? I'll come to Paul on this. Should we be persisting with Harry Wilson in a position where he's not the greatest, you know, for his country when he's playing down the middle? He looks superb, and then, you know, for other clubs I've seen him at, he's really good. And whilst he's dangerous from a set piece, you kind of think we're putting him out on the side where he's very much, you know, you can only play one way. In fact, Sean, do you remember, like, for Loco, the Sunday football team, I was always played on the left side because when I played, you know, like in the middle, I only ever went one way anyway. So I thought, well, I'm just going to put him on the side where he's got 50% of the options. But Harry Wilson, he's got no chance out on that side, has he, Paul?
I dislike players playing on the opposite side to what their best foot is. I genuinely don't like Smith at left back, and I don't like Wilson or Brooks at right midfield. You know, I'd rather have somebody who's naturally right-footed in the midfield there, whether that be Stanislas or Danjuma.
Matt
maybe.
Ritchie. Discuss.
Yeah, we'll have him back. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was a player. I mean, I'm just, you know, playing devil's advocate. He played with the left foot on the right side. So, is it a case that he's just?
It can work, but then you had Frano at right back then, and you know they had a really good understanding between the two of them. What we didn't have today was any understanding between the fullbacks and the midfield. So we had nothing between King on the left and Smith, and then we had nothing on the other side either with Harry Wilson and Stacey. There's just no cohesion.
By the way, people are saying they're trying to get in. Basically, we've got a maximum of 10 waiting, and I'll keep it to 6 on screen at any given time. Otherwise, it will just turn into a Zoom call, and we all know what those are like over the last 3 months when you've got so many people on. So we're going to try to sort of limit it as much as we can. We were toying, Dan, with the team sheet at the start in one of our preview videos where we were starting from the back. So, like, obviously Ramsdale. And then we had Cook and Nathan Ake like in the middle. And then we were going like, okay, left side, right side. And there's a bit of chat on our live stream at the moment. Ronan is talking about sort of Lloyd Kelly. Would he put him above Rico? Is he the answer? Is he not the answer? What's your thoughts, you know, defensively? Who should play which side?
Well, personally, I don't think Rico's done a lot wrong lately. I think he's grown in stature and he's grown with the fans. He's grown in confidence. He smiles. He's showing passion. I don't know. I was a little bit surprised to see Stacey straight in. I personally would have had Rico and probably Smith, but that's my opinion.
Craig, what about you?
Yeah, I would have gone with that. I don't know why Rico didn't start. Stacey did. I think Stacey is a very, very good player. He's got promise, but I think Rico, he has, and I agree with Dan. He's grown with the fans, grown with the club since he's been here. At first, he was I was a little bit concerned about him, but he's really grown into and made that position his own. So I don't know why he didn't start today. A bit disappointing.
Did you? What coverage did you watch, Sean? Who is it that does your coverage down there?
Who did we have today? I can't remember who it was. So we use a company called Spark Sports. We get like the official Premier League feed, so we don't get to hear what you've got in the UK. But I mean, they were right. They didn't say anything that spectacular.
Because on the analysis, they were pointing out at half-time that the amount of space that the Crystal Palace players were having around them, and they did that usual thing. They create a sort of radius around a circle. It seemed they had so much room in there, and we were sat right back and inviting it on. And I just don't think technically we had the ability to deal with it as well as they had, because they seemed so well drilled. But it was like a knife through butter, and that second goal for them was just absolute classic, wasn't it?
Well, it was, and the thing was, it just felt a bit like, we've got Lloyd Kelly fit, we've got Danjuma fit. The guys that we were playing have shown that it's not been working, right? And it just felt like when we came out today, it was same old, and we haven't improved and we haven't changed, and it just felt like we need something different. You've got Callum Wilson starting, which I still don't think deserves to start. You've got Joshua King, who, when he was playing in Wilson's position, scored a shit ton of goals for us. So he's now out on the wing looking at it going, why am I not up there? You've got Smithy playing left back, looking over at right back going, why am I not over there? And you're just trying to fit people in. And the Joshua King thing, it feels like he's kind of suffering from like the James Hayter syndrome. You remember with Hayter, was an amazing striker up front and scored loads of goals for us, but because he could play left midfield, because he could play in the number 10 position, it felt like the coach could always accommodate Hayter and play someone else. And it feels the same with Josh King. It feels like because he can kind of do okay out wide, well, we'll play Callum instead of going, right, it's either Callum or Josh, whoever's in form plays up top. And it just feels like we've got a lot of that going on, and it feels the same with Smith at left back and with Stacey on the right back. Well, we can accommodate. Whereas, look, let's change it up. Danjuma's I think, more lively than anyone else, pretty much. So get him on. Kelly, who knows? But something's got to be different, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about formations, Paul. There's chat on formations. There are Louis, Andrew, and Morgan. I can see you there. We'll bring you on ASAP, but we'll just talk to you about formations. Paul, people in chat saying 4-4-2 doesn't work. Martin said he's getting tired of it, but then Ross argues that 4-4-2 was a vast improvement on 4-3-3, and I thought that combination of having almost 4-5-1, but it's a hybrid 4-3-3 that can turn into a 4-3-3 when needed. What's your favourite formation?
One that wins. I really don't care what the formation is, as long as the players are in the right positions and they're all playing together as a team. It really doesn't matter what the formation is. How long
have you been a sports analyst, Paul?
now that King's injured for possibly a week, 2 weeks, something like that, maybe Harry Wilson will go in the number 10 position finally, behind the front attacker, and then we'll have sort of this hybrid formation that can sort of be fluid. He can drop into the midfield when we're defending and push forward when we're attacking. But we need to find the right players for the right positions, or we need to play the formation that fits the team that we have.
Brilliant.
I think that's Paul, what Eddie tries to do. But anyway, I'll drop out now because
thanks for your thanks again, and it's good to have you on a fan cam again afterwards, even though we're doing it slightly differently. So thanks very much, Paul. Appreciate that. Kirk, we're going to bring you back a bit later on. Also, we've got Andrew Corbin here as well. You may have seen him on the videos. He's from Diverse Abilities. We're going to bring him in as well. Andrew, how are you, buddy? Can you
apart from the sworn losing part?
Yeah.
You right, Sam?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, go on.
Right. I still think we should have won that easily.
Yeah, but I mean, who's your best player?
Out of all of it, I said it's Wilson's.
The two. Well, I mean, maybe not Harry Wilson, but Callum Wilson certainly tried very hard. Andrew, what was your rating?
Yeah.
What was your rating out of 10 for that performance? And please don't say 15 like you did previously.
7.
7. Okay, mate, that's fair enough. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to bring in more people throughout the show. If anyone wants to check out Andrew's website, by the way, talks all about diverse abilities that he goes to. Do check it out. It's andrewslifeblog.co.uk. Thank you very much for coming on, Andrew. Appreciate that. We're going to bring in Morgan here. Morgan, not good, eh?
Nah, not good at all. Thanks for having me on, firstly, but I think I don't know. It was just I had a feeling today was going to go well, and from what I can tell from the game, I think that firstly having Adam Smith on the run side, I didn't think that worked. I think Stacey didn't have the best game in my opinion. I think we need to bring Rico back into the mix and put Smith back onto the right fullback. I also think Harry Wilson needs to stay out of the squad on a continuous basis. I think he's lazy and he didn't track back whatsoever. And yeah, I just personally think I was kind of upset after today's performance. I've seen a lot of good games, especially this season. The game at when VAR gave us that goal at Stamford Bridge, Dan Goslin's goal that was headed on by Jefferson Lerma. And that day was incredible because we were up for it. And I think today there was no... I actually missed 2 minutes of the second half. I was just getting a drink. And I said to one of my friends, like, he won't make a sub at half time. Eddie, he just doesn't do that. And he actually took Harry off and brought Jan Juma on, and that was positive in my opinion. But yeah, so that was that. And then you had the incident. I personally think against Kim that should have been a red card. I think he did win the ball, but I think it did just overstep the mark, and I think he should have been. And I think that referee shouldn't be welcome back at Vitality anytime soon. I didn't think he had a good day at the office.
Appreciate that. Simon, what were your thoughts on those two challenges? Because is it right that Cahill wasn't booked at all?
No, he wasn't. So obviously if the ref doesn't give a yellow, then it could have been given as a red by VAR. And I think only based on other examples that there have been in the season, I think it was a red. However, having played football, as many of us have, it wasn't the worst one, but the fact is it was bad enough to potentially have broken his ankle or given him a significant injury. So I think it was a red.
And to me, I think, sorry, just to interject there, if that's okay, I think the fact that he it was potentially a leg break and tackle, it's enough for a red card. And that's where I think a referee should be going over to the monitor and making his own opinion rather than relying on the VAR. I spoke to Anthony Taylor, who refereed the Man City Arsenal game, and he refereed the half-5 game against Wolves earlier today. And he said VAR does not get involved too many times. The Premier League are very stuck on that. Now, in my opinion, VAR, everyone's got an opinion, but I personally think he should be making that decision by going over and having a look at the monitor. Sorry, just to interject there.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, yeah, but these monitors are never used, though, Craig, are they?
Yeah, but personally, it would have been a harsh red card if it had been given. However, by the rules of the game, he has followed with 2 feet. So, yeah, he's won the ball with the first one, but with the second foot, he's taken King down. And the rules of the game say that it should be a straight red card. With regards to our tackle that led to the free kick, never in a million years was that a free kick. Yeah. Never in a million years. And again, it's another decision that's gone against us, which, has really put us on the back foot. And hey, if that free kick wasn't given and hadn't gone in, it could have been an entirely different game.
Go on. Yeah, by the way, Morgan, we're going to take you out just for a minute because there are other people that want to come in. But thank you very much for coming on the chat today, mate.
No worries, thank you.
And we're going to bring back Kurt for a bit. But yeah, Sean, far away. What are you about to say?
Well, I was just going to say, having said that, I personally with the Cahill one, it was like on the third time of watching it in slow motion was the first time I looked at it and thought, oh, maybe. Whereas the other angle, and at the time I didn't. And then, so if we're going to analyze it in that way, my only other issue was the Lewis Cook elbow, because when you see that and you look at that in a replay, Lewis Cook goes like this and it catches him in the neck. But if it catches him on the cheek, it would be a straight red. So I don't know. I kind of feel like if I was a Palace fan watching a player go like this and then literally put his arm in, by the letter of the law, that's a red card as well, right?
Yeah, I do agree with that, Sam, to be honest. It was... Lewis Cook was a lucky boy to get away with that.
And
he'd already been booked as well already, right? So that would have been... Yeah.
I can see both sides of the argument with the Gary Cahill one, though. He does go through the ball at the centre, and obviously King's foot's directly behind. I don't think he maliciously was going for King. I think if Lerma makes that challenge, I think we turn around and say, actually, that was a good challenge, and he's just caught him on the follow through. I think some of the other send-ins off that we've seen like that, they've actually gone over the ball, so they've come in a lot higher. But I can see it could be a red. It could not be a red. Yeah, I mean, you can see
like
Lerma.
His foot
You
was
can
down and then it came up, right? That was how it
looked. Where
Anyway,
some of the other ones we've seen in the season, the defenders have gone over the ball, haven't they? Almost touched the top of the ball and then caught the ankle. So it's a difficult one.
The thing is, the rules of the game, if you go through with the 2 feet, then it should be a red card. That's my personal opinion. It should have been a red card. It would have been harsh. I agree. I don't think there was any malicious intent with regards to that, but I think he should have walked. But likewise, I do agree. I think Lewis Cook was a very lucky boy with regards to the elbow as well. It could have easily ended 10 apiece.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster day, hasn't it, Dan? Because the first match we were all loving it when Leicester scored, and then Watford. I mean, Dawson, what was he thinking with that goal? Could Schmeichel have done better? I don't know. And then 1-1, and then Brighton. Where did that come from? And it's just thinking this is a must-win match, and you're sort of now looking at it thinking, well, West Ham are as shit as we are. Is it going to be a straight shootout between us and them for that 18th spot? Because Norwich look quite poor. Villa weren't great against Sheffield United, but albeit I was watching some Villa View fan channel and their fans were loving their performance. I thought it was really bad. But what other teams are going to fall into this mix then? Because we are right in amongst it, aren't we, Dan?
I think you've probably hit the nail on the head. I think it's probably between us and West Ham now. Brighton have pulled away a bit more. Again, that was a controversy game as well, because I think I didn't watch the whole game, but apparently Morpay should have been sent off, and then he went and scored the winner. And it's that sort of luck that we've had for a lot of the season that just doesn't seem to want to fall for us. But we should be relying on other teams. We should be doing our job, and I'm afraid, first 20 minutes we give up the job. We just looked like we were chasing shadows, Simon. It's one to forget, isn't it? But what needs to be done? Is it a motivational thing? Because like someone else said, Stefan said, it seems you're all blaming Howe's team selection again, and there's a bit of that with players that are being played in positions that I don't think are actually right. But you could argue that those players out there have got enough talent to actually get a result against Crystal Palace. But was it always a risk when you've got like new players coming back, like David Brooks, who's not played a competitive match in God knows how long?
I think the majority of people, when that team sheet came out, were on the whole positive about what the team looked like. So I don't think we can blame that. I just think there were a couple of players that weren't doing the job they were meant to be doing. And I think it just simply comes down to that. Whether that's, I don't believe that's a team motivation thing, because I can't say that about every player there today, but I can honestly say that about some others. And I mentioned that problem down that same wing, and I think that's where Palace were very good at exploiting it. That's where the weakness was. I wouldn't actually blame Jack Stacey too much. I think the problem comes when you overload down that side and the tracking players don't follow their men. So he did okay. But I do agree with some other people that you probably would bring Rico back and put Smith there on the right. I'd like to see Goz back in midfield instead of Lewis Cook. I just don't think Lewis has got the engine that's necessary. And Goz is a bit of a man crush for me, if I dare say that, because of his engine and what he puts into every game. He's not necessarily the most skillful, but he'll run around like an absolute nutter for pretty much 90 minutes. And I like that. And against these men today, and that's what the Palace team is, they're big guys, they're quick, they're well drilled, they know what they're doing. I think we needed a better engine there with Jeff in the midfield. And I'd probably play 3 behind Callum, and I'd play Danjuma on one wing, Stanislas on the other, and Brooks in the middle.
Jamie Williams, how do I get on this, mate? If you go to that link, afcbpodcast.com/take part, you can even do it on your phone. Just try to wear headphones if you can, because then we don't get as much feedback. Do it on a laptop or a phone. You should be all right. And then hit your name, allow camera and mic. We'll be on for another sort of 10 minutes or so. Kirk, I'll give a final word for you before we take you off. Wednesday at Wolves, they looked bloody impressive against West Ham, didn't they? When you've got players with the calibre of Traore coming off the bench and then being instrumental in both their goals, it's a scary proposition, isn't it?
Yeah, so I thought what might help us with this new layout is that home advantage might not count. So I thought we might have a chance away from home. I'm less confident now. Josh King looks like he's out for the season. If I'm being honest, that's quite easily a 9 to 12 week injury if he's done ligaments. So he's gone. Callum Wilson's 1 yellow card away from being out. It concerns me where the goals are coming from. It concerns me that our play is very slow. That we're not dynamic. We're not breaking teams down. It's all in front of teams. It's very concerning. But I assume he'll probably set up to try and consolidate Wolves, which I don't think will work because I think they've got too many good players that will break us down eventually. I think we're better off maybe going a bit more positive, 4-4-2, maybe 4-3-3, but getting that support to Callum because he looked very isolated today.
Nice one. Okay, cheers. Thanks very much,
Cheers.
Kirk.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it, mate. And also, Craig, I'll give a final say to you. Optimistic wise, I mean, my levels are low as you like, so I'm just not expecting anything from Wolves. But historically, it's always those games where you go into it expecting absolutely nothing. Chelsea away. And then some magical victory happens. Could it be one of them?
Honestly, on that first half performance, I can't see it. I think Wolves are a strong team. They're going for Europe. So I can't see it on the first half performance. Second half, we seem to have a little bit more control. Still, I think we need to up our game another couple of bars to actually get anything. I think it might be, I think it's going to be between us and West Ham. Personally, I think have West Ham got Arsenal left with their fixture list? Because I tell you what, Arsenal are terrible. What was David Luiz doing the other night? But yeah, hopefully they haven't got Arsenal, because I think Arsenal, out of everybody I've watched, probably including ourselves, are shocking. I think they're the worst team I've seen so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we can pull something out the bag. Never say never. This is Bournemouth at the end of the day. We've done it before. When we're
never
not
say never, just said it twice. But yeah, no, cheers, Craig. Appreciate you coming in, mate. Thanks very much for your input today. And we've got Jeremy and Paul. We can see you there. Also, Morgan standing by, but we're bringing in Jamie. Obviously, you're always vocal about the lack of how vocal it is at Bournemouth. Obviously, we couldn't do anything about it this time, but for once we can say that it wasn't the fans that made a difference, or was it? Because obviously we weren't there. Maybe we need that, Jamie. Can you hear us, Jamie?
Oh yeah, it's just got a little bit of feedback. It was just terrible, wasn't it? Honestly. From the start of the game to... Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can hear you. there seems to be a little bit of a delay, and it's almost like ridiculous levels of delay here. So what I'll do is I'll do a hand signal in a minute. But what I'll do firstly is I'll come to Sean, and we'll give you a chance to wrap up your thoughts, and then we'll come to Jamie. Hopefully his internet will sort itself out, and we'll bring in some of the people that are waiting, including Jeremy, who I can see is in his AFC Bournemouth shirt there, quality. He's taking himself out. So, Sean, where do we go from here? Then? Where do we go from here?
Well, this is the hard part, right? Because all the players are talented players, so you're not really. It's not like we're looking at the players and going, we haven't got enough quality in this team to keep us up, right? But how long has it been since we've really seen a good run of quality performances? So that's where I feel really stuck on going, well, as much as I want to believe that we've got the quality, because I think we have, do I think we'll get anything at Wolves? Probably not. Do you think we're going to go and turn over the big dogs? Not based on what we've seen. It's a weird situation to be in, isn't it? Like, do we question motivation? But surely not. Surely that isn't the issue.
Well, I mean, there was enough motivational videos going around this morning that all looked very pathetic now. So we won't mention anything more of that. But yeah, it seems to be a team psyche issue. Will we get anything from Wolves, Sean? Will we?
No. Honestly, I don't think we will. I think Wolves are a good team. They're on form and they're playing really well, and it's just realistic. So you go, I saw a lot of things saying we needed 6 points from these first 3 games. So now you go, well, we have to beat Newcastle. There's like no doubt about that, and we are now going to have to turn over one of the big dogs.
Yeah.
We have to beat them.
And those were the matches that we weren't relying on, but we know we've got the capability of doing it. Spurs last season we did, albeit they were 2 men short. We just need Jeff Lerma to shithouse Son again, and then we might have a chance. But Sean, thank you very much for coming on today, mate. Really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
We've got Jeremy here as well. And Jeremy, you are from Hendersonville, aren't you? Hopefully he can hear us. He's doing a tour.
How are you, Sam? Thanks for having me on.
Very good. There is a little bit of a delay here, but in the background,
I'm trying to find a good signal. It's in and out.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, no, I can see you on a little thumbnail in the corner of my screen, and you've been going from room to room. It's like you're playing Cluedo or something. It's Jeremy in the like with a dagger in the study or something. But how did you find that anyway, mate? Not the best performance we've ever seen, was it?
No, and I hope you guys can hear me okay. I've got a lot of feedback. It's in and out.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Very disappointing. I think I said on the Cherries website I mentioned, I think this is probably the team that has been shielded by so many injuries, and we thought we were better than we are. And I'm afraid we've got to pull it together and get the 17th and just sneak over the finish line.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a very tricky one. Jamie is back as well. Hopefully he can hear us okay this time, Jamie. So yeah, just we'll ask you in one soundbite just to sum up how you feel about that performance today.
Yeah, it was woeful, slow, ponderous. It was like I've watched the same game. It was like I was back at Sellers Park when they were down to 10 men. I feel like I've watched the same game about 10 times this season. You could have replaced that game with Burnley at home, Watford at home, Newcastle away, physical players, us having a lot of the ball, but having no sort of creative outlet, even though Brooks was back, and he was fairly good when he came on from the start. But obviously he had to go off, and hopefully that's already cramped, because he's the only player that looks like he's going to create anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. Paul Lawrence is here as well. Paul, how are you?
I'm good. I'm here in Florida, actually, sunny Florida. I'm good.
Oh, love it. What did you make of that, and what time of day is it there? That must be what, like sometime in the afternoon, going into the evening, is it where you are?
Yeah, we're 5:40 p.m. here. Yeah, I mean, it's really ruined. I'm like you guys. We watched every single Premier League game this morning, cheering on all the goals as they were going in. Feeling really deflated tonight. I will just say that I think it suits us away from home a little bit. I know some of the run-ins are not particularly good, but I think we're set up to counter. And I think today was always going to be difficult with Palace getting behind the ball. They've got such a great defensive record. We gave away the free kick and it was always trouble. I'm not hitting the panic button yet because I want to see us away from home. I want to see us counter and see if we can open up teams that way. We've never been particularly good at breaking down units, back fours and midfield blocks. So I don't want to get too carried away here because I think the bigger test is going to be what it will be like when the game opens up a little bit.
Do you almost think there was, despite the fact there weren't any fans there was almost more pressure on us given, one, it was Palace and people considered it and earmarked it as this is a must-win match, and two, we're playing a home game, therefore we should be winning. So is that why you're saying maybe the pressure might be off when you're travelling somewhere like Molineux on Wednesday night?
I think so. I'm fascinated to watch that matchup. I mean, obviously, I watched, like many of us today, I watched Wolves, on the counter rip West Ham to shreds. But I really feel like I saw some positives to take out that game today with, I think the technical game was back. I think we looked a little bit more well-balanced in terms of some movement off the ball. I think some of the passing patterns and the zip on the pass was there. I think obviously we lacked to create chances. But if you look at the way we were moving the ball in the second half, it makes me feel a little bit better going away from home and playing with a little bit more less pressure, like you just mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just posted the StreamYard link. I mean, there's a shortcut to it to the person who asked about appearing in the chat. So go to afcbpodcast.com/take part. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Morgan, they looked impressive today, didn't they?
Yeah, so I watched all 3 or 4 games today, and Jimenez is just one of a kind. I think they look really sharp on the counter attack, and I think at 29 years of age, he hasn't got much time left in his career, but he looks at the best I've seen him in quite a good period of time. So I think what the game against Wolves on Wednesday, when I looked at the fixtures earlier today, I kind of thought, oh no, this isn't going to go well. I went to Molineux last year, and Wolves were a good side back then. So looking at our performance, as someone mentioned a few minutes ago in today's game, I couldn't see many positives. If I've got to take one positive, I think Brooks making a few opportunities when he got to the byline and put that ball in, that was kind of the only opportunity. I can't. From a 97-minute game, there was not much to take out of today. So Wolves on Wednesday night, it's going to be tough. And to be honest with you, I'm not holding much faith.
Cheers, Morgan. Thanks very much. Appreciate that, mate. We're going to take you out for now because there are other people who wait to come in. So thanks for your input today. Really appreciate it. And we'll do one of these after every match for an hour or so. We're going to wrap this up fairly soon. So thank you very much. We'll come to Simon again very shortly and Louis as well. What I'll do quickly is I'll just check out some tweets. And this is the time after a game where I absolutely dread checking the Twitter timeline, but I'm going to do it and you're going to see it with me as well. So here we go. Hopefully you can all see this on screen at the moment, and it's not pretty. Tom Jordan, we're in a relegation scrap and the Palace keeper didn't have a single save to make. Gutless and sluggish throughout. I'm constantly called too positive, and he said he'd be absolutely shocked if we stayed up. Doomed, he says. Alex Deutsch, again, I consider myself pretty optimistic, but I'd have to be Professor Carol fucking Sikora to take any semblance of hope from that. Yeah, we know where you're going with that, Alex. VAR in the Premier League, Tom Jordan's not happy with that. Things that Tom would like to see gone. Ryan Fraser, well, he has. Jermaine Jennett, a little bit overly negative towards Bournemouth. Some people have been saying 2020. Yeah, I agree with that. Football. It's not great. Keith Brewer, usually the voice of reason, said AFCB hashtag. That wasn't very good. Poor first half. Defending out wide let us down. Created very little up front throughout. But worse still is looking at Twitter during a game. I don't do it when I'm there. Schoolboy error. I won't make that mistake again. Come on, Boscombe and Simon. Social media sometimes can be a horrible place to be, can't it?
Absolutely. But you've got to be prepared for everything you're going to see. It's pretty much doom and gloom in a situation like this. But hey, look, there's 8 games left. There's only like 1 point in it, and or 1 goal or 2 goals. Anything can happen. So, you know, I'll still be on the right side of negative and positive, kind of realist, but you never know. But after today's performance, is that positivity waned a little bit? Yeah, but I still believe.
Yeah. I mean, Louis, do you still believe?
Yeah, I guess I still believe that West Ham could do worse than us. I guess
and that's the only team that really looks. I mean, Brighton picking up points. You know, they're pulling away. I mean, Watford got that last-minute equaliser. I don't think they were particularly good, but they managed to do what they needed to do. So, which teams are you earmarking, sort of earmarking as being the ones that could finish below us? Let's see Norwich as a given. You know, what other 2 teams could finish beneath us if we weren't to get relegated?
Well, I feel just definitely West Ham. Or not sure anyone else.
Well, that makes us 18th then. That's scary times. Paul, have you had a sort of think about? I mean, obviously you've seen teams in action.
I think Aston Villa have got a chance of staying up. Looking at their games, I fancy West Ham to go down. It's just a case of, are we going to finish above Aston Villa and possibly Watford? I honestly think it's about who's going to stay healthy. King's gone down today. There's injuries, I imagine, on the horizon at every club. I think who can keep the fittest squad together. Brooks looked like he wasn't fit today. I hope he's ready for Wednesday. Honestly, I think it's West Ham. Can they keep their top players on the field? I mean, they haven't got much to play with anyway. It's more a case of Villa. Who's going to go down for Villa? Who's going to go down for the Cherries? In terms of player personnel, if we've got our best squad out there, we've got a shot of picking up some points.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we're going to wind it down now a little bit. So, Louis, thanks very much for your input today, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Simon as well. Nice to have you on again, buddy.
Take care.
Thank you, mate. And we'll leave room for one more person. So if there's anyone that wants to come on, we'll go on for another 2 or 3 minutes. I saw someone on chat say they want to come on. Go to afcbpodcast.com/take part. And in the meantime, I'm just going to go back seeing a number of these tweets. And yeah, I don't know if I should read it or not. William Irving Clark, tomorrow morning, Eddie Howe has to make a list of all his players and make an honest and insightful analysis of each one's current attitude to playing for the club. Mark them out of 10. Anyone scoring less than 8 is out of the squad until further notice. Sean, who was on, Salvatore, Boo Sam Davis. What have I done? No idea. Andrew Parkin. Aside from Daniels and Billing, Eddie had a fully fit squad at his disposal. Playing Smith at left back instead of Rico was a major flaw. Now, Jamie, if I can come to you, William here is saying anyone scoring less than 8 is out of the squad until further notice. That's pretty much everyone based on tonight's performance, isn't it?
Yeah, no one scored above a 5 tonight. That's even being generous, because there was nothing in that team tonight that sort of give us any sort of hope whatsoever. Because I think our biggest issue is, I think someone mentioned it earlier, we are essentially a counter-attack side. And, when teams sit behind the ball, which basically any home game where we need to pick up points, they're going to do that because teams have worked this out. And Brooks coming back as a help, and you hope like players like Harry Wilson can start being creative. But that's been our problem all season. So Eddie's got to find a way to pick up points, whether that's sitting behind the ball and playing unlike Bournemouth. But we've not won a game this season with more than 50% of the ball. Every win we've had has been with less of the ball in the opposition, which says it all. And yet, obviously, Palace sat back tonight. Newcastle are going to do the same. Southampton are going to do the same. So we just need to find a way and pick a team that's going to suit that play style. Because if we go to Wolves and we see what they did to West Ham today with Adama Traore, if we go and try and play with the ball and play possession football, they'll tear us apart. West Ham nullified them for most of the game by sitting behind the ball. Their only problem was they didn't have any transition whatsoever. They couldn't attack. We've got players that are fast and can get in behind them. So we need to set up, even at home. I feel like our players just can't break teams down that sit there. So we've got to find a different way of playing, because otherwise there's only one way that this season's going to end, and that's through the trapdoor for me.
Paul, which teams have impressed you? So obviously we've had a chance to see, most teams. Obviously there's a load of games tomorrow and then another on Monday, I think. But who's impressed you so far from the teams you've seen in action?
Yeah, I would say Manchester City, clearly sort of come in fit and ready to play. I mean, I thought they were playing in a different league almost the way they came out the blocks. I'll be honest, I didn't think anyone particularly looked that impressive early on. I was amazed, how few goals were being scored. I think a lot of teams look unfit. See that a lot of players are just struggling right now with getting to grips with, some of the normal things you would see early on. It really looks like a pre-season type of start to the Premier League campaign. I'm curious to see Liverpool tomorrow. Do they play tomorrow? I'll be interested.
Yeah, they play Everton. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's been poor. There's no one that's really impressed me. And I think that's why we have to take heart from this and think, who knows? We might catch Wolves on a bad day. I know they looked okay today, but I thought there were moments where they were a little bit cheap in possession as well. So I'm not fearful of a Tottenham or a Wolves right now. I think Manchester City, yes, but I think Manchester United didn't look too strong. I think you might be able to catch them on a bad day this season.
Hope so. Paul, thank you very much and enjoy the Florida evening. Thanks very much for your input. We're going to be doing this after every game for about an hour or so. So, yeah, anytime you want to pop on, the link's always going to be the same, afcbpodcast.com/take part. So, yeah, really appreciate you having you on, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Thank you very much. And, Jamie, I mean, we'll finish with just me and you because we've run its course, I think, an hour. What do you think of Zaha today? Because I wondered how he would, deal with playing in front of sort of no fans. I mean, he gets a lot of stick from the fans he, plays against, and obviously we always say, sing he's going to cry in a minute or whatever. But I didn't think he was that kind of, potent threat you usually see. But he was a different kind of threat today, it seemed.
I didn't feel like he had to be a threat because obviously they scored early with an absolute worldly free kick. He won the free kick from Brooks's tackle. He always carries a threat on the break. But Palace scored obviously early, and then we had the second goal, which was it was non-league defending, no one tracking runners and stuff like that. So they were 2-0 up fairly early into the game. So there was no need for them to come out and attack and play sort of go for another goal. So all he had to do was sort of be that. Later on, he had that one-on-one with Ake, and Ake did well, sort of thing. But there was no need for Palace to sort of exert themselves to go and chase another goal. So he was pretty redundant for most of the game, and for most of the second half, we had the ball in their half, so he didn't have the opportunity to attack really. But that's because they were so comfortable and organised, which is what Roy Hodgson does. He gives them, so he didn't really have enough of the ball to make an impact. But obviously, he got an assist for the free kick and stuff like that. So he did his job. I think he always looks dangerous when he's got the ball.
It's there was one season where I think it was probably the season where we beat Liverpool 4-3. I think we were one of the top teams for having the most comebacks when we go a goal down or something like that. There was one season, but this season, when we go down, we just look mentally doomed, don't we? And as soon as Palace scored that, I just, I almost wrote off the game, and I thought, well, if it's going to be like the rest of the season, there's going to be no chance, we can get back into it. And I think the fans play their part when we go 1-0 down, and obviously, they weren't there to do that. Well, we weren't there to do that, and the writing was almost on the wall very early on, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Palace are there's certain sides in this league that you just do not want to fall behind against because they make it so difficult for you to come back. But as you say, we don't really come back very often. We haven't got the same spirit. We got people say we've assembled our best ever squad in the Premier League. For me, that's based on maybe individual talents. As a team, I struggle to find a worse side that we've got in terms of the partnerships and the combinations and how we play. I think there's a lack of understanding between certain players, which you've got to question why, because obviously they train together all the time, but you don't have the same sort of combinations like we used to have that is fluid, and that's why it looks so ponderous. And we're trying to play a way that we used to play. Excuse me. That we used to play with players that were brought up playing that way for a very long time, and now you got different combinations, and it doesn't work as fluid. Yet we keep trying it, and we've seen that same game, like honestly, like I said earlier, about 10 times this season. And that's why I mentioned we've got to find a way of working to our players that we've bought strength, because I don't feel like we can play that way with this team, which is sad because obviously that's the Bournemouth way, and that's probably the way football should be played in my mind. But it's only right if that's getting results for your team. And I feel like we're better when we're without the ball. I think we're a very poor football team in possession of the football. And when we went 1-0 down, I didn't think we were going to come back against them, because the last 3 games we went into this before lockdown, they won 1-0. So they're very organised and they keep a lot of clean sheets. We've actually scored more goals than them. So that tells his own story.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Interesting. Jamie, thank you very much for coming on, and appreciate your input, mate. And we'll be happy to have you on again after like every game during lockdown. So we'll be on for an hour. So appreciate you coming on, mate.
A better result against Wolves.
Yeah, fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed. All right, mate. Take care. Yeah.
Right, to have it.
And so that's it. Thanks very much for joining our first lockdown show. We're gonna have one last look at Twitter. Do I want to look at this? We're gonna have a gander. A disappointing evening. No shit. So there we go. A disappointing evening for AFC Bournemouth. So say the official account. Ryan, genuine question. Do we play the next couple of games with the same side as tonight, knowing we're carrying players who clearly don't give a toss? Or do we play lesser players, in inverted commas, e.g. Frano and Sermon, but players that we know that will give everything to the cause? Snoots on Twitter, I know we're playing bloody awfully, but is there anyone else out there who thinks Jermaine Jenas is a sodding arse? I mean, you know what? I'm done from Twitter tonight. I don't think I can look at too many more tweets. So that screen is gone. It's gone. Have a couple of these. It's fine. No, honestly, thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. We're going to be doing this after every game. Usually I'm outside the 1910 bar with my mic, doing it 1-to-1, but I think this format works okay. I think it does. Thank you to everyone on chat. If you want to get involved next time, the link is always going to be the same. As long as you got headphones, that's the most important thing, because otherwise sometimes you get lots of feedback issues. But really appreciate you coming on tonight. It really wasn't the show I wanted to be doing this evening, and hopefully we'll have a better one on Saturday. It is, of course, against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who looked pretty good, didn't they, against West Ham? But until then, we'll see you next time, and up the Cherries.